What would Bob do? Bob is an amazing actor. I grew up with an actor.
Not a good one.
Hey guys, today we're talking episode 4 of The Traitors, and this was a good show.
It was. This is probably the best show of all of them so far.
Yeah, I agree. And if you haven't noticed, Billy's not here, so we're going to have to make do without him.
Yeah, you got me, guys. I'm normally the one in the middle, but now it's kind of weird to be on the end over here, I got to say.
Yeah, so make sure you like and subscribe. It helps us out with the algorithm. But let's get into this show.
All right, let's do it.
So we're back, and Tony was eliminated. Poor Tony.
Yeah, wah.
Yeah. I'm sad to see him go because I really liked him. He's normally pretty strategic, but it didn't work out for him.
No, not this time. I mean, I think he didn't actually play as hard as he normally plays, and that might have been his
He tried to fly under the radar, and it just didn't work.
That's not his style.
So we got Gabby, who's kind of on to Danielle, coming out of the little secret room there.
Yeah, she's totally on to her until someone says one thing, and then, oh, I thought I had a theory, but I don't. Never mind. Like, she just doesn't trust her gut on that.
Well, she comes out of the bookcase, and she doesn't want to linger around because she's worried about, like, getting spotted and then someone turning it around on her. So she kind of runs off, which I think is kind of a mistake here.
Probably, in hindsight, knowing what we know, but in that moment, probably not. But she goes and tells somebody that she hears Danielle in this room. And she's like, I think Danielle, and I think this is not the first time she's suspected Danielle either. And she says it to someone and says, like, no, Danielle's not a traitor. She's like, oh, well, all right, I guess not. Here's
part of the problem. They leave the door open, and then Dylan comes around. He sees the door open, so he, like, moseys on in with Danielle. And this adds a lot of confusion because now people are going in and out of the room. So if anyone asks who's been in the room, it's like, well, yeah, I've been in the room.
What was funny is Dylan goes, hey, something's not right here.
You're like, oh, is he going to spot it?
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, was this here? And he's like so close to what he needs to be drawing attention to, and he doesn't. But man, you can see in his face, he's like, I know something, I just don't know what I know.
Yeah, he's like, it looks like something could have been here at some point, but he's like, guys, we're probably too late. So
that dude's smart. He's smart. Like he trusts his gut. What's funny is we kind of see it later. We'll get into that, I guess, that his gut might stab him in the back at some point, but he trusts his gut for a lot of it, and he's right for a lot of it.
So the short list is revealed, and it's Jeremy, Nikki, and Ciara. What do you think about the Traitors choosing those three?
I don't know. Like, they went back and forth with this reverse psychology of, did they put one of themselves in there? And then like, well, people will be expecting that, so that'll throw heat on that, but then they could have done that.
And as
been like, the Traitors wouldn't have done that because they would have suspected you to do that.
Yeah, as we see, like, people are suspicious and think the Traitors would have done that.
Yeah.
And they might think maybe the show dictated that one of them has to go in there.
True. I do find it interesting, when they kind of said their speech at the last minute of, like, Ciara was like, I'm not a traitor. And then, the other two kind of, like, begged for their lives. But then Jeremy was kind of like...
Yeah.
Pleading with the Traitors. He's like, I'll work with you if you don't kill me.
Y'all know I'm trying to find y'all, but if you keep me, I'll work with you.
Yeah, he tries to make a little bit of a deal, but that's probably not going to look good to the faithful at this point.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering how, like, did he just think of that in the spur of the moment, not really thinking through how that was going to play out? Because let's say he didn't get murdered that night, I guess everybody would have been talking about...
Well, and he's in desperation mode, too. And the other thing I don't really understand is, like, he was on to Danielle, but no one really makes that connection. Like, why is Jeremy eliminated?
Right. Every other elimination, it's like, oh, they were killed because they said this person's name, or they said this person's name, so maybe that's why they're going to get killed.
Yeah, and really that's what did it.
They didn't put that connection at all together with
Danielle. And
Danielle.
that's why Danielle wanted him out.
Exactly.
So.
And what's her name did not want to kill Jeremy.
Yeah.
What's her name? The other survivor chick, one of the other traitors. She did not want to do it. And
Carolyn.
And she's sitting there with that nervous face that she has. She's like,
Well, Carolyn's a survivor. Jeremy's a survivor. So
Exactly.
she feels a certain way about getting rid of survivors.
Yeah, but you got Boston Rob, Bob, and Danielle all about it. And Boston Rob's a survivor. But, you know, she was definitely not.
Yeah.
She's like, guys,
Boston
like,
Rob doesn't care who you are.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
he doesn't have that survivor
He only
loyalty.
has loyalty to himself.
Exactly. But I just found it odd in that moment when they were discussing it. And then anytime Carolyn objects to anything, Danielle is just like, yeah, we're doing this, okay? Like, it's like she completely dismisses Carolyn.
She was kind of strong at first, but she's just kind of going with the flow. Especially, like, you know, Bob is just, he's a strong personality, so he's kind of like running this a little bit.
Yeah. And Rob sees it.
Yeah, and then Rob comes in, he's trying to run it, so...
Yep.
Well, they send the others off to bed, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I do, you know, I am kind of watching season 2 as I'm watching this, and I really liked in season 2 they did the drink. I like that a little bit better in the coffin because they had to do that really out in the open.
Yeah.
And then, like, whoever drank from the chalice thing.
We did take some advice and to binge the previous seasons. We were watching season 2. I think we're not all the way through it yet, but it is a pretty good show, even like the previous seasons. Yeah, and with the poison one on that one, it was like, I mean, they even questioned who was given a drink, and then nobody answered the question.
Yeah, and
that was
the
edited
chick
out
completely forgot. I was like, how do you forget something like
Yeah,
that?
I think I drank. We were all drinking. I don't know.
But yeah, so then they have like the breakfast at the next day, right? And then you're kind of waiting. Who is it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
And that's when, is it Gabby? I think
Yeah,
it is.
Gabby.
She's like, guys, I think it's Danielle. And then, I don't know.
Yeah, she talks about the bookcase.
She saw that was next to
And
her.
then,
And she's like, nope.
I think it was Robyn, and Robyn's like, should we say something? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, wow, you want to get this out in the open? Because the traitors hear this, they're going to come after you.
Right. Well, what was funny is that she immediately told somebody to her left. I think it was Chrishell. And she said, no, it's not Danielle. And she was like, oh. Okay, I guess maybe not. And then, what's her name said, let's confront everybody about this bookcase and Danielle and everything. And so that she says it in a like open way. It's like, who was in the bookcase? And then Danielle is the first one to speak up, and she's like, well, I was in the bookcase, but Dylan was in there. And then she starts like pointing everybody out, and Dylan's like, yeah, well, the bookcase was open.
Yeah, Bob quickly dismisses it.
Yeah, so everybody just starts talking over each other about how everybody was exploring the bookcase because it was like, oh, a cool room, and like, and then Gabby's just like, oh, well, there goes that theory, I guess.
I mean, she thought she was onto something, then she's like, well, I guess it was nothing. I'm like, dang.
Like, stick to it, girl.
Yeah, and I tell you, Robyn chimes in a few times. She's constantly getting people wrong. Like, she's practically better than the traitors at this point, like helping them out.
Robyn's funny because, like, when she's on to somebody and thinks it's somebody, she's like, it's that person, and she doubles down. She's like, no, you're not
She's
gonna
like,
fool
it's
me.
not this person, it's totally that person. You know what I mean? So.
But when she feels it strong, she feels it strong. Whether it's right or wrong is a whole nother.
So Jeremy's gone. Was that good for them? I mean, it's probably decent for Danielle, but like I said, I'm surprised it doesn't boomerang back at her.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's an editing thing. You know, we run into this with other shows. Maybe there was talk about it and just we weren't shown that. But yeah, I don't know why nobody suspects Danielle for that. Or even like mentions it. Hey, like he was really talking about Danielle.
Yeah, and Carolyn seems like she's completely off the radar of people. I mean, she's not making big moves at the same time. She's coasting along as well.
She just looks like a deer in the headlights all the time.
Yeah, I love her faces. So she's
Yeah,
like, oh
she's
my
like,
God, I can't believe that.
Somebody said something. Oh, what'd they say?
But she's shedding tears over Jeremy. And Jeremy's crying too.
Yeah, it was rough for Jeremy.
I mean, he tried.
I feel bad for Jeremy. He's been done wrong by these shows. He should stop going on.
Well, he was right about Danielle, but you know, I don't know. His pleas, they didn't work, and he was desperate.
Yeah, I didn't like the move of I'll work with the traitors because, like I said, had he survived the night, then the faithfuls are going to be like, well, are you working with the traitors? Are you a traitor? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
don't
that would have
know
thrown too
though
much.
because they're like, why would a traitor say all that? So he might have been able to do something.
I don't know.
But it's mission time. They have to carry the stone pieces all the way up the hill and kind of assemble them together. And there is a lot of shields handed out on this one.
Yeah, it's like almost half of them. Or
Yeah,
more
I was
than
like,
half
holy
of them,
cow, is there anyone without one?
Yeah, I think there were 10 shields and there are 18 people. So Yeah, more than half.
It was
of
a lot.
show.
And there was some guys that were like Tom, Wes, and Dylan, like they grabbed their own head,
Out.
I guess, and like
They out.
bolted.
Mm-hmm.
So
They get up to the top, and then we got our heads up here. Anyone bringing us a body? We get the head up
Yeah.
on top, you know? I like, again, I've always been, you know, boisterous about Britney's little diary room moments, and she's sitting there talking about her Peloton. She's like, yeah, they didn't have me carry things. Like, if this was a cycle thing, I got it, but carrying heads up a hill, Peloton did not prepare her for
and
that.
what was Alan wearing? He was wearing like broccoli or something around his neck or something. You see
Yeah,
that?
it wasn't. Yeah, his outfits are a little extravagant at times, and this one I just didn't get because he also had like a blue, like it was a green broccoli thing, but he had like a blue like tool like thing coming off. So like I don't know.
I love the dogs there. I mean, the dog doesn't add anything, but who doesn't love a dog being
Oh, the
present?
dog adds something. The dog adds something.
And Bob Harper is looking kind of
Yeah.
rough, the fitness guru. Here.
Yeah, and you know you do forget that I forgot that he had a heart attack a couple years ago. So. You know, you think of him as the fitness guy, and like he should be able to handle this challenge. But he is older.
Well,
and he's
Father
had a heart
Time
attack.
catches up with us all, and he's 59, and he's probably thinking in his head like he can do everything like he used to.
Yeah.
But you know,
He probably still has like. I mean, he looks fit, so he probably has some.
I mean,
muscular
59 is
strength.
decently
But-
old. You know, be doing this kind of stuff. I mean, they carried these things a good distance.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, his heart attack was not just like a heart attack. Like he had like, I think the Widowmaker or something. Like he was very lucky to survive it.
Well, he even says so. Yeah.
So he's probably operating not on a fully functional heart at this point. So
Mm.
you know that constant exertion, it's gonna take a toll on him.
Yeah, you feel bad for him because you know he's just not used to that. He's used to being a top performer,
Yeah.
but so it's kind of sad to see.
Yeah.
And
But-
Rob is just like diddly bopping along, hardly helping at this point. Like I think in one scene he barely has his hand on something, like 3 people carrying one.
He's
thing.
like, you guys got that? You guys, yeah, everybody's got, I got my head up on there, so it's fine, you know.
And then Bob the drag queen takes like what I thought was a pretty obscure shot at like the newbies, saying like,
Yeah.
remember, like one of them is probably a traitor.
Well, before he did that, he was talking to Ciara coming up. You don't need your immunity. You don't need a shield. Everybody thinks you're the traitor. No one's gonna vote for you.
Yeah, that was
Like-
an odd comment.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's pushing for her not to get the shield because they were gonna try to get Ciara out.
Yeah, I love the interaction though, because he's like, everyone thinks you're the traitor, and she's like, what, for real? And he's like, yes, bitch.
Everyone thinks you're a traitor, so the traitors won't kill you. You don't need one.
Everyone thinks I'm a traitor?
Yes, bitch. Surprise.
So he's like, so they're not gonna kill you, but it's like, okay, so. I mean, I don't know. Just talking her out of it at that point in time. If everyone thinks I'm the traitor,
Like she
I'm
definitely
going
needs
for
it. And
Yeah.
Nikki kind of needs one too, because they're the 2 people in the coffin.
Yeah, but having the shield doesn't protect you from the vote. I
Yeah.
guess is what he's trying to get
Yeah,
at.
maybe he's more concerned with the
he's
the
not,
round table.
but he's not because obviously he's a traitor. But I just didn't like what he was giving. You know what I mean? And then,
Well, I mean, the traitors should always be concerned about the round table because that's the faithful's opportunity to get rid of the traitors.
Exactly. And he didn't want her protected. So he was like, you don't need to go for it. And it's like, anyone who's telling me that I don't need to go for a shield tells me you're after me and I should go for that shield. But he was also at the very beginning when they first started. He's like, all right, let's take a strategy of who's going to take bodies, whose heads, and everybody's just running with their own stuff. Like,
Yeah,
no
I
one's
mean,
listening
and the
to
fit
him.
guys run up, they put their heads, and then they put their heads by one of the mounts. So, like, when a body gets up there, the head just
It's just
naturally
up.
goes on there. So,
Yeah, I think the first 5 or 6 were all guys, like, and the strong guys, except for Bob H, I guess. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the way that played out. But
So they have the round table, and they're talking before everyone's trying to, like, get their person to get nominated or whatever, like, scheming behind the scenes. And there's a lot of names kind of thrown out there.
yeah,
Like, Nikki and Ciara are, like, the 2 most mentioned. And then Rob starts doing his thing.
yeah, Rob took a shot. And
He took a big one. I
He
mean,
did.
Bob the drag queen, if you don't get him out, you know he's going to turn it around on you.
Well, especially being he's targeting a fellow traitor. If you don't make this kill, you out next. You know what I mean? You got to get your fellow traitors on board. Like he kind of went to Danielle and oh my gosh, why Carolyn? I can never remember her name. He went to them and was like, yeah, I'm hearing Bob's name a lot. I think we got to do this.
Yeah, he's the one spreading it.
Yeah, but he's like, yeah, I mean, it's the names come up and like, I can't seem to squash it. And then Danielle's like, no, we'll squash it. We'll work on this. Let's squash it.
Well, he's like,
Yeah.
it's going to be him regardless of how we vote, so we might as well blend in.
Exactly. So then Danielle leaves the room and then he pulls Carolyn aside. He's like, no, we're doing that. It's like, it's happening. And she's like, it's too soon. Like,
Oh, he was smart. He got Dylan, then he started spreading around. And
well,
people
Dylan was
are
already on this train.
people are so worried, but he didn't think he had the votes. But
Right.
people are so worried about themselves that whenever a name becomes prominent, they just kind of go with the flow. It bothers me when people vote a certain way and they're like, "Oh, that was dumb," or "I never believed." I'm like, then why are you voting that way?
Yeah. Is it Wes? Wes is sold on Nikki.
Yeah.
He's trying to like. So a couple of people.
He starts off the conversation. He's like, I
Yeah.
just want to say you're a traitor.
At the round table, he's like, I'm calling you out. But yeah, I think Ciara's name's kind of being thrown around a little bit at the pre-table discussions, but not just because she was in the coffin, really. Like nobody really has the strong reason as to why you throw her name around. But Wes is going around saying, I've got a feeling about Nikki. It's Nikki. She was in the coffin, like, and he's trying to get people on board. And he gathers a few, I think.
If it weren't for Rob, it would be between Nikki and Ciara, but Rob is like, nope, it's got to be Bob.
Yeah.
So people are like, I don't know how this is going to work. So when it goes to the round table, Nikki's thrown out there, and then Ciara gets thrown out there, and then people are kind of arguing
And
for them.
Dylan keeps looking at Rob because Rob is the one bringing it up, right? Rob really kind of started the Bob the drag queen talk. Even though Dylan was on that already, he was not willing to like really get it out there until he had other people to talk about it. But knowing that Rob was the one going around saying, yeah, we're going to do Bob the drag queen and everything, Dylan didn't want to be the first one to speak. So he was expecting Rob to do it.
Well, Rob definitely did not want to start the conversation.
not
So
want
he was
to.
kind of waiting to see how it was playing out. And then at some point, he just like goes in. He's like,
like,
guys, what are we doing here? This is what the Traitors want you to do.
Yeah.
And who's been pulling the strings this whole time? And he's like, it's this guy.
And you see Dylan, because the whole time before Rob starts talking, Dylan's like, Rob, you better say something.
I mean, it was getting shut down before
Yeah.
Rob jumped in.
And then finally, when Dylan's face was just like, oh, it's out there. I can do this. And he starts going, he's like, come on, man. It's you. Everyone knows it's you.
I think Rob
Yeah.
really saved Ciara here.
Yeah, definitely.
So then you're like, how's this going to shake out? Because Bob then does his thing, he defends himself. And
He
then
doesn't tell a lie.
He even swears to God, which
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like this moment.
I swear to God that I am a faithful.
I get he's not religious. I'm not really religious, but I wouldn't do that.
Oh, as soon as he said that, I was like, I'm pretty sure he's not religious. The fact that he's so adamant, he's sitting there saying he doesn't tell a lie. We know he's lying. And then the whole I swear to God, I was like, yeah, he's probably not religious.
Yeah,
if
I
he's
bet
doing
that would bother Billy a lot because he's pretty religious. But.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
We'll have to
also
get
a
his take
game.
on that later.
But it's just there's things you just don't do, I don't think.
right.
So.
I mean, he was really trying to sell it.
Yeah, he really was. He was going all in on that, where Rob was going all in on him. And you're like, ooh, how's this going to play out? He
Yeah.
tries to turn around on Rob, but I mean, he's so crass too, which I think turns the people off because at one point, like, Dylan's talking and he's like, I grew up with an actor, so I think this is all an act. And then he's like, not a good one.
Grew up with an actor.
Not a good one.
That was not nice.
And I was like, hey, I really like Zac Efron.
I think Dolores was like, hey, that was uncalled for.
Yeah, let's not do the name calling of the family, okay?
Zac Efron. What's your favorite Zac Efron movie?
Oh, man. Why are you going to make me choose a favorite Zac Efron movie?
On the spot. Jesus.
Yeah,
what-
I can't think of it on the spot.
Oh, man. Probably The Greatest Showman for me. I really
Yeah,
like that one.
yeah, he is
Oh,
good.
don't steal mine.
No, I do like it, though. I do like it.
There's a lot of good songs in that one,
Yeah.
especially for musicals.
I like some of the older, like, not his first stuff, not the most recent stuff, but the stuff in the middle.
What was it, like 17 Again or something like that?
Well, that was with Matthew Perry.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Zac Efron was him when he was younger.
I know. He was in it with Matthew Perry.
But anyways, the votes come out. I mean, Alan Cummings not even stepping in, like one more vote, because, I mean, a lot of people are choosing Bob at this point. At one point, you're thinking it could go either way, because I think it was like 2 votes for Nikki, 2 votes for Ciara.
Well,
and
the
2
very
votes for Rob.
second vote, he went to Danielle. And
Yeah, Danielle.
yeah, and that was like, and she's shaking her hand shaking. She's like, she doesn't want to say it because she didn't want to vote for him.
Yeah.
But she knew that if they had the numbers and she didn't vote for him.
But hers was kind of early where, I mean, she couldn't have swayed it. But like when they're coming early, you're thinking maybe you could have a chance if Danielle went one way.
But I think I don't know. I
do like how they write it down so like that can't be influenced. Like it's like, hey, time to write something down.
Right, yeah.
Because people probably would be. They'd be like,
yeah.
So, yeah, Bob's number. I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And that's a big move for Rob. And I don't buy Rob's like, oh, he called me out. Because I'm like, yeah, he made like a thing about it could be the new people. But people are already suspecting that. And that's one of 3.
Well, I think he was looking
He
for
was
something.
waiting to take his shot. He was
yeah.
only there for 2 days.
Yeah, apparently, I guess we don't know how much time has passed, but apparently it's only been 2 days for these new people to be in there.
Yeah, because someone calls Wes out on that.
Yeah, and that's what Carolyn's like. She's like, this is too early to be be turning on each other. And again, we haven't seen previous seasons. We're not to a point where people have turned on each other in the previous season either. So, we don't know when that usually happens, but they're like, it's too early. And but their hands were tied at this point. But knowing this is played out now, Danielle and Carolyn really need to like stick together.
Let me tell you, people were like over the moon that they caught a traitor, though. Like it was all like, no, not Bob. Oh my God. And they're like, yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I really he went out classy because he was fighting.
I like how he said, hey, that's the game. That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
At the table, he was acting hurt and he was mean. He was throwing back to Rob and like, I thought he was going to be a little vindictive about it. And I'm like, what if he gets up there and he says something like, because, they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
But then,
What if someone does, though, and kind of ruins the show?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they slip. I don't know. But, he went out and then he said, he's like, that's the game, man.
I wonder if, like, as people, like, are people paying attention to Danielle because she's, like, really shaken from that? Or they're like, no, they were just close or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know because, they may have already gotten rid of the people who were suspicious of Danielle, except for Gabby, who I think you could just like say squirrel and she'll think it's a squirrel. I don't know.
Yeah, so Rob's looking like a genius after this, but there's some people that are like, he was really confident. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wes is like,
and he's like so confident, like he actually knew. And they're like, how would someone know?
Yeah.
And they're like, if they were a traitor.
What's funny is that he's in a room with like 5 other people, and they're like, well, I mean, how do you really know? No one really knows. He's like, yeah, idiot.
Well,
Tom
was completely lost. He's like, how?
And then he's like, if they're a traitor, then they know who the other traitor.
And then it was like, light bulb. Yeah. I had a light bulb moment go off, and like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Rob is the kind of person to do that. I think everyone knows that, so.
Yeah, I think if they're smart, Danielle and Carolyn can get Rob out.
And also, people are going to start going, okay, who was confiding with Bob behind the scenes quite a bit? Yeah. Like, I don't know if this was the smartest move for Rob. I mean, I love it. I love the drama. Yeah. And it's good to see, but I don't know if that was the smartest move.
Well, I think Rob takes shots before he's like kill or be killed at this. That's how he plays.
I think he's like, hey, man, people expect big moves from me. I'm going to make them.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sit back and lie low like some of these other people.
But he doubled down. Like,
he went hard.
When the heat was going, he's like, when he said, I am not, he's like, 3 words, I am not a traitor. He's like, 2 words. You are. Like,
yeah, and I wonder if people are going to be like, he said, like, if it's not him, then send me home next week. They're like, that is just too much. Like, would a faithful say that?
Right.
So it could be, we could be seeing Rob sent home next.
We could. It wouldn't surprise me.
But someone's got to get murdered.
Yeah.
Who's that going to be?
Well, let's talk about who has the shield. I just want to make sure we got all the names right. So
there were a lot of them. So.
Yeah, so we got Chrishell, Rob, Wes, Dylan, Dolores, Danielle, Bob H., Britney, Bob the Drag Queen, rest in peace, and Tom.
That's a lot. So we got like Dolores, we got Derrick.
So here are the ones that are Ciara, Carolyn, Nikki, Ivar, Robyn, Sam, Gabby, and Derrick were the 8 players that would retire for the night at Mercy.
I wouldn't say any of those are strong characters that don't have the shield.
Derrick is kind of...
Derrick is.
Yeah, Derrick is kind of...
He might be the one.
Yeah, and what's funny is, watching him on Big Brother, his instincts were always right, but he's wrong.
See, and Derrick had an opportunity to save himself, but he was like helping Bob. Then he helped a female or something. I don't even remember which one. So he gave that up to help other people, hoping to, I guess, probably get through the round.
Yeah. Well, Derrick's strategy in Big Brother, I believe, was like being a person for the people, basically. Like he was always the good guy everyone could count on.
We'll see if it plays off.
Yeah, we'll see. But he always knew, like his instincts about things and his theories on things were always right. But he's wrong on this one because he really does believe. I think it's Ciara is who he's thinking. That or Nikki? I think it's Ciara. But
he
there's
believes
so many people on the show,
in
guys.
Ciara because he said like those who are being accused normally curse,
that's
and then
right.
she curses in her response.
That's bullshit. She doesn't say that, but yeah, I mean,
And he's a cop, so detective. So you think he would know?
But she's a nurse, and I work in healthcare, and let me tell you, we have foul mouth in healthcare. It happens. So I believe that her foul language is just because she's
Well, that's
a nurse.
what she said.
Yeah, it's true.
And I guess if a patient's dying and they ask, she's going to tell them. So
She's honest, and she curses. You know, that's a nurse for you.
I'm looking forward to how it goes because now there's mistrust on the Traitors side.
Yeah.
They don't have it together.
Is this how it happens? Like, I mean, by the time we get this edited and put out there, I'm probably going to watch 2 more episodes of the other season, and maybe I'll figure out how this traitor
Do you
business
want
works.
them to choose like a new traitor anytime soon?
Ooh, I don't know. Like, bring.
I don't want a new traitor this. Maybe if one more goes, you bring another one in.
You bring another person, a whole nother person into the game, or just a new traitor from within.
No, I think they're done bringing people in.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but
Oh.
let us know if you
Right.
know. So.
We don't know.
But that's this week's episode.
Yeah,
Really
it's
looking
good.
forward to the next one. Let us know what you guys think. Who should be next? How it went down. I mean, I thought it was like the best episode of the season so far, for sure.
It was.
Maybe even the best episode I've seen between the 2 seasons so far.
I'll give you that.
So,
Be interesting to see Billy's take, and hopefully we'll have Billy back next week.
all right, guys. Until next time. See ya.